So I've told you a lot about how I started to feel after microdosing magic mushrooms, how great I feel, but I never really told you like in detail how I felt before I started microdosing. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Hey there, how are you? Dr. Dave. This is Microdose U, and thanks so much for being with me. I really appreciate it. I just want to mention real quickly, after the video, you watch this, you have some questions, and you want to like interact with me and other people that are can help you out. Join my Facebook group. I'm going to put the link right in the show description here. In this episode description. It's a great group. We got a few hundred people there that are always on talking about microdosing and how to do it, how not to do it, and answering questions. And it's a really good group. I want you to be there. So make sure you click the link down below in the show description here. Okay, let's get right into this. So I have shared with you how microdosing has totally changed my life and how really good I feel all the time. But I never really share with you exactly what each day was like for me before starting to microdose. So I'm going to get into that right now and share that with you. So you might be able to identify with some of these things that I was going through basically on a daily basis, or you might have other things you're going through. But if I share with how I felt, I think it should make you feel better that there is an answer out there. You don't have to feel like this every day. You don't have to feel like I was feeling. You don't have to feel like you're feeling. There's a lot to life out there. There's a lot of life that we can live beautifully. And I've done like a 180-degree turnaround, and you can do the same thing. So let me get right into it and share. I think I've got 8 things I'm going to share with you that the way I used to feel. So let's see. Number one. Well, I've told you this before. I had a lot of anxiety and a lot of worry. I just on a daily basis, I would wake up in the morning, and for some reason, I can't even explain why, but my heart I just feel my heart beating stronger than it should. Like I was anxious, something was wrong. But there's nothing to be anxious about. My life was basically good and still is good. So I really couldn't figure out where this crazy anxiety was coming from, but it felt, it definitely took over my day. I didn't feel right. I felt like I just couldn't really function. I mean, how would you like functioning if you're anxious all the time? Like, just picture like driving or interacting with other people or going to the grocery store. If you're anxious, it's really difficult, and that's not the way we should live. So that's definitely one of the biggest things I had, a lot of anxiety. But also along with the anxiety, number 2 is, luckily was, depression. I've never really, well, as far as I know, I never really had a problem with depression most of my life. But now looking back, it's possible that I did and didn't even realize or couldn't identify what depression was. But I'll give you an example of like something that happened to me before I started microdosing. And this happened a lot, but I remember one day, it was a Saturday afternoon. I live right here in Salt Lake City. I'm about a 15, 20-minute walk from downtown Salt Lake City. So my wife and I were taking a nice walk. It was a beautiful day. There was nothing to be anxious about. There was nothing to be depressed about. However, we're walking down the street towards downtown, and I just feel like something's just not right. I shouldn't be feeling this, and I can't identify exactly what I felt like. It wasn't necessarily like a sad, people think of depression and they think of like being sad. It wasn't really a sad feeling, but it was like an inner feeling inside my body that just something's not right. And that's probably the best way I can describe it. I knew that I couldn't continue like this. And as a matter of fact, I got on the phone the very next day with my doctor, who started me on an SSRI, Lexapro. And I've talked to you all about Lexapro before. I was on that for, it was a year and a half, something like that, before I got off of it from microdosing, which I'll tell you about in a second. But the Lexapro definitely helped me as far as not feeling depressed and not feeling as anxious. And I say not feeling as anxious because Lexapro is a pharmaceutical and it's not perfect, and it works well for some people, not well for others, sometimes like right in between. So sometimes if I felt my Lexapro was not really working right, say for example in the morning I would get up, I would take my medication, but if I just didn't feel right, or I felt like still I had a little bit of anxiety, I would supplement that with a benzo. I think I was taking Valium, like 2.5 to 5 milligrams. It's not a large dose of Valium that I was taking at all, and I was taking it as needed, so maybe a couple times a week. But still, that's not the way that I wanted to fix my life, and it's not the way I wanted to live my life. Taking pharmaceuticals every day and Valium, something's not right there. That's not the way we should live. And I knew there had to be a better answer. So that's another. So anxiety, depression, worry, things like that. Worrying. I would worry. This is also right around the time of COVID was getting big, and things were happening with the financial markets and the politics and all kinds of things and rioting. And I really started worrying a lot about like where we're headed, like what direction we're headed in. And I'm old enough to know that in our lives and in history, we go through good times and bad times. And, we go through some tough times, but then things get better, and then they get worse. So it's like a cycle. But I just was cycling down, and I thought, wow, this, like the world is on fire. We're just going to hell. Everything's bad. But that's not really the case, because now, fast forward, many, many months later, after my microdose regimen for at least a year and a half, a little bit more now, I don't feel that way at all. I feel that, even though we have our problems or dangers in the world, I don't watch the news anymore, but I feel more positive about my life and about the world. I really do. I think we're gonna be able to fix some things. But if you would have asked me a couple of years ago, I would have said no. We're like, this is it. This is crazy. So anyway, the microdosing magic mushrooms definitely made me feel a lot better about life and about my health. So I also was experiencing brain fog. And for those of you that are not familiar, if you don't know what brain fog is exactly, it's basically it's really what it sounds like. Your brain becomes foggy. You can't think right. You can't your cognitive abilities are impaired. You can't problem solve nearly as well as you should be able to or used to be able to. It was just a mess. I'm painting the picture, and I don't want to paint too bad of a picture, but it was bad. I don't want to downplay it and say, oh, things were really, they were really bad. Things were really bad. I remember some days, many days where my days existed just kind of hanging around the house, didn't feel like doing anything. The highlight of my day was when like mid to late afternoon came around, where I could actually get in my bath and it's kind of my schedule. I scheduled like a hot bath, basically every day at around 3 to 4 o'clock or 5, somewhere around there. And believe it or not, that became like the highlight of my day. Like my day sucked. I'm not doing anything. I'm laying around. I'm not feeling right, but I get to take my bath at 3:30. So whoopee, wow. It was, guys and gals, it was bad. It was really bad. I probably never told this story exactly like this before. It was really tough. And also, I'm gonna call this like a driving trance. The best way to explain this one also is driving in my car for more than 5 or 10 minutes, and especially if I'm on a highway, if it's dark outside, or if I'm in like a windy mountain or canyon road, I would get into a trance that was not a good trance. It was filled with anxiety. It was filled with like almost like a hypnotic state that I didn't feel comfortable driving. Sometimes I asked my wife to drive. If let's say for example we were up around the Park City area, which is about 20 minutes, 25 minutes from my house. But in order to get back down the mountain to Salt Lake City, you got to drive through this canyon. Interstate 80 goes through, it's called Parley's Canyon. And a lot of it is like a lot of downhill, long downhill and windy roads and inside of canyon. And sometimes I get freaked out for no reason. And I can tell you for no reason because now, many months later, a year or two later, I'm not freaked out at all driving the exact same road or roads. So I know it was a function of my mental health. It was horrible, but again, I thought maybe that I was deteriorating. I thought that my life was, was coming to an end sooner rather than later. It was really not a lot of fun whatsoever. I was also very unmotivated. I had work that I like to do. I run a bunch of stuff on social media and YouTube and podcasts, and I had stuff that I had to do or wanted to do or like to do, but I couldn't get it done. I just couldn't get motivated to do things. If I wanted to record a video, sometimes it would take me like a week before I could say, okay, I've got enough energy, I've got enough motivation to do this. But sometimes I would just sit around and not get it done, and it was just an awful way to live. It was really rough. Also, add to that, I was uncomfortable getting on the phone with friends and family members. Now, I'm not a real phone person. I'm not the kind of person that likes to hang on the phone and talk to a lot of people all day, every day. But I do have family members that I like to speak to. I've got some really good friends that I like to catch up with on the phone. And it was very difficult for me to even get on the phone. And if you ask some of my friends, they'll tell you, yeah, Dave wouldn't get on the phone with me. It was terrible. I felt horrible. I felt embarrassed. But on the other hand, I just couldn't do it. It was crazy. I also had a lot of fatigue and insomnia, and that goes along with depression. Also, depression, anxiety. It's a lot of people that have depression. They're just tired all the time. They just don't feel like doing anything. My sleep patterns were really poor and interrupted. And one thing though, not magic mushroom related though, I was diagnosed with obstructive sleep apnea. And I did get myself on a CPAP, later an ASV machine, which is called, it stands for adaptive servo ventilation. It's kind of like a CPAP on steroids. But getting my sleep back in order, totally made things better as well. But I didn't really know about this stuff. And I thought I was deteriorating. I thought I was just going downhill, and who knows how long I'd last. It was a horrible feeling every single day. Next, I'm not proud of this one at all, but lack of libido. When you're feeling shitty, you're feeling depressed and anxious, and no motivation. I mean, one of the first things to go is your libido. You're not interested in anything, and it was terrible. But again, that's one of the things that went along with my mental health problem that just kind of, for lack of a better term, just kind of sucked the life right out of me. I don't think I would have been able to do a video like this 2 years ago. I would have done it. I wouldn't have looked like I had energy at all. My face looked different. It was bad. I don't know how else to describe it. It was really bad. And so the last thing I wanted to touch on is, I already hinted that I really did question how much longer I would be on the planet. Now, that does not mean I never had suicidal tendencies. I never felt like I wanted to end my life. But I thought my health was deteriorating. My mental and physical health was deteriorating so quickly and so out of control that I just questioned, like, how long can this last? And it's going to go downhill, and I'm going to have some kind of bad health problem, and that's going to be the end. Now, I don't feel like that anymore at all. I'm 67 now, and I just went skiing yesterday. I went to the gym today to work with my trainer. And by the way, that's another thing I started doing a short time ago, is I started working with a trainer, because I didn't realize, you don't know what you don't know. And I noticed that my muscles just weren't as strong, or didn't work as well as they did when I was a lot younger. And of course, I'm older, so I thought maybe that's just a natural aging process, and that's the way it is. Well, guess what? It's not the way it is. A short time ago, I started working with a personal trainer at a local gym here, And in a very short time, that's right, she's a she. I like working with a female personal trainer. And I'll tell you something else, she could probably kick the shit out of me. She's really, all kidding aside, she's really, really good. She understands this stuff, understands how to work out muscles, and she's super nice. So what could be better? I go in there for an hour at a time, and she works me really, really hard. But I can already feel the payoff. I'm feeling stronger. I'm feeling I used to be injured all the time too. I feel like my muscles and bones and skeleton just feel stronger, and I'm feeling like I'm kind of feeling like I did when I was 35. I'm feeling like that again, and I know I'm not 35. I'm almost twice that age, but it's a number. And a couple of years ago, when I was only 65, I felt like I was 90. So now I'm 67, and I feel like I'm 40. Let's say 40. That's fair enough. Okay, I don't feel like I'm 20, but I feel really, really good. And I want to, I attribute this to microdosing, and sometimes a little bit of a larger dose, but never like a large macrodose. I'm microdosing magic mushrooms, which contain, of course, psilocybin. It is a wonder. It's a miracle, that plant medicine that totally changed my life around. Did a 180. It changed my life 100%. And I can't say enough about this regimen that I've been on with plant medicine with psilocybin. Now, I will tell you, when I started using the Lexapro, which is the SSRI, the antidepressant and anti-anxiety, and I told you I was using some diazepam, which is Valium at the same time. When I started microdosing magic mushrooms, almost immediately I felt good enough to just get off the Valium. I just didn't feel I needed it all anymore. But I waited about 9 months to start weaning off of the Lexapro, because I just felt like I was afraid to get off of it quickly, because Lexapro is something that it takes a while to build up in your body anyway. And if I got off of it quickly, or even fairly quickly, I felt like I could go back into that same rut that I was in. So I kind of titrated things together, and I used the magic mushrooms, and then gradually started weaning off of the Lexapro. And I've been off of Lexapro for I don't know, 6 months, 7 months, something like that now. And no desire to go back on a pharmaceutical like Lexapro. I'm not against pharmaceuticals. Pharmaceuticals can help many people with many different medical issues. I'm not against them. However, I did not want to be on a antidepressant, a pharmaceutical antidepressant, for the rest of my life, it wasn't perfect. After a certain point, I probably would have to get off of that and try another one. If that doesn't work, it's something I just did not want to be involved with. Now, with the psilocybin, after about 1.5 years, I felt like it's totally done its work. I still do dose when I feel like I want to. It's not even because I really need to, but I feel like when I want to, just to kind of keep it going. But I feel like it's done its work. I feel like a totally different person. I was with a friend a short time ago, and I was talking to him a little bit about psilocybin, and I told him that it's absolutely changed my life around. And you know what he said? It was like the best thing I possibly could have heard. He said, "Dave, I know, I can tell. You're a different person, in a good way. So there's no question about it. It's worked for me. Will it work for you? Emphatically, yes. You know what the most difficult part of starting to microdose is? Starting. How many people, I just can't count the number of people I've talked to that keep talking about it. They keep researching more. They keep watching videos, listening to my podcast. They're thinking about doing it. They're hurting every day, but they're not sure if it's going to be good. They're not ready. And the most difficult part is just saying, I'm in. It's a plant medicine. It's a microdose. It's the smallest, tiniest portion of a dose. It's not going to hurt you. By the way, this is not medical advice, so use what I'm telling you as an example, something that I've done in my life. and hopefully you can transfer it to your life, and it'll do the same thing. I mean, I'm not special. I don't. It worked for me, and it should work for anybody that wants it to work for them and applies it and does it correctly. So that's what I wanted to say. I wanted to share with you how I felt before microdosing, and it was horrible, and it will work for you. And the most difficult step is to just do it. If you're watching this and you haven't started yet, but you're thinking about it, you've been thinking about it, what are you thinking about? What's the problem? Just start. Okay, I hope this helped you. What else was I going to say? I've been pretty darn bad. I owe you an apology. I've been pretty darn bad answering questions and comments and things on this channel here. I've been super busy. My wife was back in Japan for about a month, and you would think that would free up a lot of time, but I actually scheduled a bunch of things to keep myself busy. A couple trips to Las Vegas, and no, I don't gamble, but there were some people I wanted to meet up with and see some shows and just have some fun, eat some really cool Las Vegas food. So I ended up getting like super busy. So I owe you a tremendous apology. I have been really bad about answering comments and questions. But to make up for that, I did start this Facebook group that we're all answering everybody else's questions, and it's a great little community. It's called Microdose U. Make sure you use the link. Some people are getting into the wrong, they're getting onto my page, which is different than the group. So make sure you use the link that I'm going to put in the comment section. And I really hope this helped you. I do love you. You mean a lot to me. I just want your life to be, I want you to have the success that I've had, because it's amazing. It's just, I feel good. I feel really good. Okay, I'll talk to you soon. Be good. Start if you can, and get over to the Facebook group. See if we can answer, in between videos, answer any questions for you. Talk to you later.